Good afternoon, Teacher Christina.
One more time, good afternoon, guys. Alright, so good afternoon to each and every one of us. Of course, our Dr. Justin, good afternoon, sir. So for today, I won't be introducing much of myself, but since this is the last talk for our season of Wednesday of Words, so I will be asking you this small favor. This is just a small favor, guys. May I ask your undivided attention as I proceed to my talk. Why? Because this topic is merely not about my skills. It's not about my talent. It's not about what I like doing. It's not about my hobby. But this topic is, I can say, something that everybody could relate to. This topic could be adoptable to each and every one of us. This topic is not just for us students, but even our older siblings, even our teachers, even our parents could actually relate to this topic. So let's proceed, of course. I'm Christina Dakel, and I am here to give you a talk about numbers. Alright, so you guys might be thinking, why am I giving you this title? Why am I giving you this talk? But don't worry, guys, because I can sense that you guys might be thinking about mathematics, you guys may be thinking about numbers, but today I won't be teaching you about calculations, formulas, or any mathematical expressions. But today I will be teaching you, or I will be talking about something that is unseen, which is again numbers, but it is the unseen side. It is the deeper side of the numbers which goes unseen in our world today. So let's proceed. Again, I won't be acting as if I love numbers. Who among you guys love numbers? Who loves math? Daisel? Joshua, do you love numbers? Alright, so this is a promise to you guys. You won't be seeing any calculations because I personally do not like numbers. So statistics. This is not mathematical statistics, but this is world statistics, and it is according to WHO, or World Health Organization, where they have indicated that each year, approximately 1 million people die from suicide. Imagine how many people we lose in just 1 year. How many wonderful souls we lose in just 1 year. And it has a global mortality rate of 1 death every 40 seconds. And while I was doing this research, it gets even sadder that they have predicted that in the year 2020, death rate would increase into 1 death every 20 seconds. How sad is that? Imagine how sad is that we lose one life, one wonderful soul in just 20 seconds, in just 40 seconds, which we do not notice. 40 seconds that we waste, 40 seconds that we do not appreciate. Are you guys with me?
Yes.
And so I got curious. I really got curious about it. What can be the reasons, or what might be the reasons why people attempt or try to take their own lives away? So this is what they've shown. This is according to WHO again. They've said strong feelings of stress, feeling of being less intelligent, pressure to succeed, body changes, losses, and difficulties in school. And while I was meditating on these six words, I came up with a 4-letter word, which is fear. Even if I do not ask you one by one, I know that each and every one of us has fear of body changes, losses, being a failure in school, not succeeding, being less intelligent, and strong feeling of stress. So this might be one of the reasons why some people around you are depressed, some people around you are down, or some people try or attempt to take their own lives away. So I won't ask you one by one, or I won't ask somebody from the crowd to tell their fears with me, but I know that's quite personal, but personally, I fear the 6. And my 7th fear is changes. Not body changes, but changes, because I personally fear adjusting. I am scared of adjusting, especially when I got used to a certain thing. When I got used to doing something, then suddenly there will be changes, there will be adjustments. I fear changes. So that is my 7th fear. But again, this is not according to me, but this is according to WHO. And so, you guys might think, or you guys might be thinking, what is the connection of numbers into fears? So here it is. 170, 0, 10. If you look at it, those are just normal numbers. Those are just usual numbers, right? No, guys? Stay with me. Those are just numbers. And even if you stare at it for 1 minute, for an hour, or less than an hour, this numbers wouldn't change, right? These numbers wouldn't have any meaning. Am I right? May I ask, Francine, where do we use numbers?
In grades.
Grades. How about you, Micah?
Counting.
Counting. Daniel.
Prices.
Prices in the grocery stores and malls. So these are just normal numbers that we use or we might be using in our everyday lives. But what if 100 is really a weighing scale with 100 kg? And what if 70 is actually a percentage of a failing grade? What if 0 is the amount of money that you have on your pockets or in your ATM?
No allowance.
Or what if 10 is the number of likes or compliments or validations that you get from people? Guys? Alright. So I'll be focusing much about this slide. See, in our society today, we have grown up with the notion or the idea that a certain number could actually define who we are as a person. Right?
Yes.
I've told you these numbers. These are it. And we have grown up with the notion that a simple number, just a simple number, could actually define who we are as a person, our whole being, our faith in life, and even our success for the future. And if you guys are still loading or buffering, those numbers are your grades, your weight, your size, the calories that we intake every day, the number of subscribers, followers, the number of likes, the salary or the paycheck that your parents are receiving, or even the amount of money that you have as your allowance on your pockets, on your wallets. Is that clear?
Yes.
You guys got it. See, those are the numbers that I will be tackling about. And you have grown up with this idea that the smaller the body is, the prettier the body is. You have grown up with the idea that the lower the weight, the prettier the girl is. The higher the salary, the hardworking the person is. The higher the grade, the smarter the kid is. We have grown up with this idea and we do not notice that little by little, slowly by slowly, our lives are being fully dependent on these numbers. Our whole lives are being fully dependent on these numbers. We do not notice, like it goes unnoticeably, that we are being eaten, we are being swallowed, we are being overpowered and overshadowed by these numbers. But the question here is that, since when did we let numbers define who we are as a person? Why do we let these numbers define the way we act, the way we speak, and even the way we live? In general, the way we live. Since when did grades, weight, and size become more important than the person behind it all, which is you and me, which is us who is living this life? Are you guys still with me?
Yes.
See, don't get me wrong, all of these numbers, it matters. Your health matters, your weight for your health matters, for your physical body, it matters. The salary that your parents are receiving, it matters. Your grades matter. It is important. But my point here is that please do not let it define you when 100 drops to 0. Are you guys still with me? See, the problem with us people is that we tend to use number to give identity to people that is surrounding us, which further leads to number being their identity or number defining them who they are as a person. But take note of this, a thing wouldn't have a meaning unless you give meaning to them. A thing wouldn't have a meaning unless you give meaning to them, which means the number that you have seen earlier in this presentation wouldn't have any meaning unless we gave meaning to them, which we have seen earlier. Those are just simple numbers, right? But we gave meaning to them. So a thing wouldn't have a meaning unless you give meaning to them, right? See, have you noticed, admit it or not, all of us, I believe that we came to the point where we have catched ourselves judging other people, looking down upon other people who has no friends, who has no family, who has no luxuries, who has lower grade, who has higher weight or bigger size, lower weight than us, right? We sometimes catch ourselves looking down upon others, criticizing them, and making fun of these people. But see, we need to when I was doing this presentation, I came up to the point where I realized that one single number could actually have the power, the complete power to define one's worth. But the question is it even fair? Is that even fair? How can an entire being be defined just by a single numerical number? Denver, how can an entire being be defined just by a single numerical number?
You overthink.
You overthink? That question is actually something that cannot be answered. Right? Because it isn't fair. How can our heart, how can be our soul, how can our value and worth be defined just by a single numerical number, such as 10, 0, 70, and 100? Right? And see, as students, our mindset is that when we finally receive or see our report cards, and when we see that we have the 90 plus or the 90 above grades, we have this confidence in ourselves that we can finally have the assurance of getting a brighter future, a better future, a successful life. But see, trying to achieve that perfect number is what brings on frustration, anxiety, and depression, even suicide attempts, and even the four-letter word that I have concluded earlier, which is fear. It is what brings on overthinking, self-doubt, self-hate. Right? See, I'm not saying that you guys shouldn't try harder or push harder for your grades, for your health, for your weight. No, what I'm saying is that please do not let it define you. Please do not let it define you when 100 drops to 0. Please do not let it define you when you fail. See, we have said this a lot of times that when you fail, you will be learning a lot of things. That through failing, you will be having experience. And we have said this a lot of times, that through experience, we will be learning a lot of things. That experience is the best teacher, right? Some of us know that quote. Experience is the best teacher. But how can you get an experience if you don't have bad days, if you don't have troubles in life, if you do not have challenges in life? Right? Just like the waves that Andre has discussed when he talked. How can you have the experience and how can you learn to stand up? How can you learn to avoid all of these things that you have made in the past if you do not have experience? Are you guys getting the point?
Yes.
See, we need to understand that it is our actions and it is our choices, it is our decisions in life that brought us here today. So it is not the number, basically it's not the number that will define your success for tomorrow. Right? See, in our world today, especially the millennials, especially us, we try to break our own confidence down. We criticize ourselves and we tell ourselves that we don't love ourselves enough, that we aren't worthy, and we do not deserve any happiness here in this world. But I came to realize while I was doing this talk that what we really need to do is just step back and take the time to realize our very own existence. That in our everyday lives, we are alive and we are enduring every moment of it, every minute of it, right? See, I've heard this a lot of times and I've seen this in articles, in newspapers, that this is for the leaders, the teachers, and the, the parents, that they've said that if you want your members to succeed, if you want your followers to succeed, if you want your students to succeed, fail them. Fail them. Isn't it weird that you need to fail somebody just to make them succeed in the future? It is kind of contradicting, right? But see, just like what I've stated earlier, you will be learning when you fail. So please do not be afraid of failure. And see, look, I can give you hundreds of reasons why a number doesn't define who you are. But the biggest reason is that you are only defined by what you let define you. We're only defined by what you let define you. And more often than not, that's your actions, your behavior, your morals, your ideas, your values, the choices in life, and the decisions that you have made in the past, and the decisions in life that you're about to make for the future. In this life, in this generation, we need to change that notion that the perfect number is the only thing in life that we need to strive for. We need to change that notion. See, it is the relationship that we have built, the things that we are doing here in this world, and the good deeds that we are doing every day. That should mean and that should matter more than anything else here in this world. Are you guys still with me? Are you guys still awake? You guys are too serious. Alright, so I'm about to end. But before we end this topic, this is actually something that I've prepared just yesterday night, because this is something that I really prayed for. I really took a lot of guts just to show this to you guys. So I'll tell you a story that there's just this young girl who was afraid of facing people. Let's please be all together, guys. There is this young girl who was afraid of facing people. There was this young girl who was afraid of speaking in front of a lot of people. Not because she was shy, but because she was afraid of what people might think about her or what people might say about her. There was this young girl who was filled with insecurities. There was this young girl who lived a life imprisoned with the standards of other people. There is this young girl who owned and liked things. She loved things just to be like somebody else. She owned gadgets, she owned clothes, and anything else that is trending just to be like everybody else. And to cut that story short, that girl is me. I am that girl who lived in the standards of other people. I was imprisoned with the standards of other people. Why? Because I am a pastor's daughter. A pastor's daughter, if anybody doesn't know, pastor's daughter is a preacher's daughter, just like Paula. I'm pretty sure that she can relate to this. Her mom is a pastor or pastora in Tagalog, and both of my parents is pastors. And see, a pastor is a church leader or a spiritual leader in a specific church, and my dad is the founder of LRC that is based in Marriott Hotel. And see, the reason why I'm imprisoned with the standards of other people is that when you see a pastor, a pastor's family, that one thing that will be stuck in your mind is that this family is perfect.
Amen.
Right? That one thing that will come into your mind, or you could actually think of when you see a pastor's family or a pastor's daughter, is that this kid should not sin. This kid shouldn't make any mistakes. And so, when I was so young, when I was younger than this age, I did not notice the pressure. I didn't feel any of this pressure. But when I grew older, now that I am 17 years old, it is just now that I realized the pressure. And since then, I felt the pressure. I strived for perfection. In terms of attitude, in terms of appearance, in terms of grades, in terms of my studying, in terms of my health. Why? Because a pastor's daughter cannot sin. That is what they said. A pastor's daughter cannot make any mistakes, even just a small mistake. Why? Because people will be talking about you. And so I strive for perfection, and I faced all of it with fears. I faced all of them with fears. Fears of not pleasing people. I came to the point where I cared much about myself and did not care about. I came to the point where I cared a lot about other people, and I forgot about myself. And so the next photos that you will be seeing is something that I don't want to brag about. Something that I don't want to be proud of. Something that I don't want to be boastful, or I don't want to parang kumbaga pagyabang. You guys know that, right? I don't want to brag it off with you guys. But the next photos that you will be seeing is actually, I've asked this with my parents or with my siblings and my best friend. I asked him if is it just right? Is it just right to show this to the people in the classroom? Is it just right to give a personal touch to this talk? And he said, I think that the people will be convinced and the people will believe you more if you have this personal touch in your talk. So here are the photos. Here are the photos. I won't be focusing much about singing, but I'll be focusing much about talking. As I've stated earlier, this is one of my fears, facing people and thinking about not what I'll be telling or not what about my topic is, but every time I stand in front of a lot of people, what I think of is what will people say about me. Right? Did you guys experience that?
Yes.
Once in our life, we all experience that. These are the photos. The last photo is when I talked about fear and anxieties. But see, the point of showing these photos to you guys is, again, I don't want to be boastful, but something that could actually prove to you that if you will just learn to embrace yourself, if you will just learn to embrace your flaws, your imperfections, if you will just learn to embrace your gifts and the qualities that you have as a person, then you wouldn't know who you could inspire, who could you touch, and you wouldn't know what you can contribute in changing the world. And since I wanted this talk to be remarkable, not because I am Christina or what, but I wanted this talk or this topic to be remarkable to all of you guys. So I made something for you.
Christina, can you say it? Ay, wala.
Alright, so I'd like to sum it up and in conclusion, conclusion, again, guys, as students, grades isn't the measurement of our intellect. Rather, our grades is a manifestation of our commitment, of our attitude, of our behavior, and of our desire towards learning and seeking growth. So that's all, guys. Thank you.